As protocol, I know we need to get a picture first. So as speakers, we'll get the picture, and then we'll get started right away. Great. Without further ado, we'll get started. We have the honor, as I said, of having Shri Bhuti Rajshekhar ji, who is an IAS officer of the 1992 batch from the state of Andhra Pradesh. He's Special Chief Secretary that covers agriculture, animal husbandry, dairy, and fisheries. And we have the honor of having him deliver the keynote address. Sir, I welcome you to kindly deliver the keynote address, because Andhra Pradesh truly is leading the way in a lot of the thinking around technology and agriculture. With that, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Deepa, for those kind words. At the outset, I would like to thank all the people sitting here. I know how valuable your time is, and you've chosen to sit in this session, which is exclusively about one state, which is the Andhra Pradesh. At the outset, I would like to thank Athena Informix for organizing this exclusive session on AP's journey of AI in agriculture and allied sectors. Not long ago, including me, agri and AI appeared far-fetched. In fact, I was a big skeptic of tech in agriculture not so long ago. But today it's the tech world's most sought after territory. The Ministry of Agriculture just launched the Bharat Vistar, a multilingual AI tool that integrates the Agri-Stack portals and the ICAR package of agri practices for providing customized advisory support. Happy to inform all of you that a demo of this immense power of Bharat Vistar, a glimpse of Bharat Vistar, was demonstrated to none other than Mr. Bill Gates on 16th, just 2 days back, at a banana farm in Andhra Pradesh. The farmers demonstrated the pest management flow by doing advanced forewarning of pests, followed by AI-enabled image-based detection and remedial advisory for pest and disease control, and use of the Uberization service to book a drone for precision application of pesticide through the farmer's AI app. And in fact, Mr. Bill Gates himself tested the AI part of the app by asking a question, and the app gave a fitting reply to Mr. Bill Gates. But this journey was not without its trials and tribulations. The idea of this session is to share both so that we cut short the learning curve for those states and for those agencies which want to follow this path. For us, the motivation and drive come from a very strong belief that AI can transform the lives of the small and marginal farmers. I'm talking about the tenant farmers in Andhra Pradesh, who account for nearly 90% of farming, and empower the last mile functionaries to provide more accurate and better advisories to those farmers who are digitally challenged. So we'll have this digital divide always. Just as we thought we have bridged that gap as far as smartphones are concerned, now AI will again going to determine who is challenged and who's not challenged. So we are also designing systems for the last mile functionaries who would be providing that human touch to the farmers. To begin with, the vision of our state, Swarna Andhra 2047, aligned with Viksit Bharat 2047, to transform Andhra Pradesh's primary sector, which contributes 33% of state GSDP, into a globally competitive, climate resilient, and value driven food economy through sustainable, technology driven growth that uplifts farmer livelihoods while addressing global challenges. I think many of you are not aware that after bifurcation, AP became the classic agrarian economy state with more than 60% population still depending on agriculture as a livelihood and contributing more than 30% of the GSDP. The national average, for your information, is 18%. And the other divided state, Telangana, also, the primary sector contributes only 18%. For us, it's 33%. Our Honorable CM, Mr. Nara Chandrababu Naidu, envisions a 2.4 trillion economy by 2047, in line with the national vision of Viksit Bharat, with a targeted per capita income of 55 lakhs by 2047, by achieving a sustained annual growth of over 15% year on year. We can't achieve that target of 2.4 trillion economy unless we grow, starting now, every year 15%. And with 33% of the economy depending on the primary sector, I leave the maths to you, how important the primary sector is. To set in motion, so as I've said, the primary sector is going to be the key to this vision, and therefore there's an urgent need to transform the current traditional mindset of farmers and the different stakeholders, including the departments, including the ministries. The current mindset has to change to a more data-driven, evidence-based choices in a very chaotic global ecosystem where a random day, like the announcement of tariffs by the US president, has an impact on a small aqua farmer in a remote village of AP. This we never anticipated. A decision by somewhere far off country president has a direct impact on a small aqua farmer in a remote village. So to set in motion this game-changing endeavor of mindset transformation, our Honorable Chief Minister laid down 5 guiding principles, which I think others may actually have a look at. First, agriculture needs water. So we need to have a water security system by making water efficient micro-irrigation, soil moisture management, and recharging groundwater sustainably through village level water budgeting. This is extremely important. In fact, in Andhra Pradesh, we have the Vasar technologies, building a water resources management system which gives real-time availability of water in medium irrigation tanks, minor irrigation tanks, major irrigation tanks, because this is extremely critical. Second is demand-driven mapping of the production to connect farm to plate and provide better saleability to farmers. This is extremely important because we find that today the crop planning has nothing to do with the demand. The farmers, many a times it's the herd mentality that kicks in. So if my neighboring farmers grows maize, I'll grow maize. If he grows tobacco, I'll grow tobacco. Not really understanding, what the international markets, how they are dynamically changing and how the prices may just collapse overnight. And at the end of the fag end of the that crop period, we find that the farmers are left in a lurch. So how do we use or leverage AI to do that kind of a crop planning where we'll be able to factor in all the external variables? Then, of course, agri-tech adoption, the third. Fourth is food processing. Today we find, many of you must be reading in newspapers that suddenly the tomato prices collapse and the farmers have nothing else to do but just dump the tomatoes on the road because they can't do anything with that tomato because it's the price is 1 rupee, 2 rupees. So the food processing, becomes extremely important for the farmers' sustainability. And the last is when everything fails, when the market fails and there's nothing else the farmer can do, there has to be a government systems that step in and support through market interventions like price stabilization funds, etc. Now this whole journey, The AI journey, what Mr. Bill Gates has seen day before yesterday at the banana farm has not happened overnight. It's been a very arduous journey. I'd like to give a small context that our primary sector now stands at a unique intersection of global opportunity and climate change challenge. Many of you must be aware that in the recent discussions at Davos, this was highlighted and a critical insight was discussed. Agriculture today is viewed as part of the climate problem because 40% of the climate change problem is because of agriculture. But I think we need to reverse that whole paradigm 180 degrees and view agriculture can become a solution, not the problem. And it holds immense potential as one of the world's most powerful solutions for climate resilience, biodiversity restoration, and inclusive growth. The state is demonstrating this at an unprecedented scale, with 1.8 million farmers across 60% of our villages practicing natural farming on 2 million acres. I'm sure people sitting here or watching on YouTube may not be knowing these numbers. But AP today is the world's largest natural farming state, as I've said, with more than 2 million acres and 1.8 million farmers practicing it. Proving that climate action doesn't require sacrifice by the poor. All of us are aware that climate change impacts the poor the most, even though they contribute nothing to the climate change problem, but they are the biggest, it impacts them the maximum. So therefore, the entire AP climate, community managed natural farming system that we have delivered in AP has different models where the farmers, even with as little as 20 cents of land, 1/5 of an acre, can get incomes of more than 25,000 per year. That kind of farmer-centric kind of models we have done, where the giving options to the farmers to cut their cost of cultivation without affecting the yields. Even here, even in natural farming, where we are going to use the elements from the nature, AI-driven solutions like traceability with certification will provide better price premiums to even a 1-acre farmer. Today, the world is moving to a scenario where even in an ordinary restaurant, the customer may demand, I would like to know where this vegetable is grown. That's the kind of scenario we are going to see in the next, not decades, but in few years. So the traceability, becomes extremely important. We need to devise systems on blockchain technologies, and we are actually doing in collaboration with Gates Foundation. AP has taken sector-wise initiatives on AI and tech implementation that are driving transformation from traditional mindset. As I've said today, still there is this traditional mindset, not just with the farmers, but even the other important stakeholders. From traditional mindset to technology-enabled entrepreneurial farming that is efficient, future-ready, sustainable, and resilient. In animal husbandry, for example, we are using AI-based muzzle ID. We call it Go Aadhaar. Just as we have Aadhaar, we are now come up with Go Aadhaar because that muzzle design is unique for each animal. So this muzzle ID-based traceability system will enable precise health history mapping and resource optimization. In fisheries, AI and IoT solutions are revolutionizing aquaculture, achieving 30% reduction in power consumption. There's one I would urge any of you to, if you can visit or even Google search this agency called Aqua Exchange. They have done extremely useful IoT devices which takes care of the end-to-end problems of an aqua farmer. In natural farming, use of traceability across 21 lakh hectares with complete systems integrated with global certification standards, positioning our produce for premium international markets, particularly the new EU FTA opportunities. Then we have drone-based services cover over 60,000 hectares annually through more than 9,700 integrated service providers, giving small farmers access to advanced machinery while using just 20 to 25% of traditional water and fertilizer inputs. Now, even I used to think that drone is an expensive intervention, but today we realize with the labor cost shooting up, it's going north and north, and therefore drone, I think, is going to become a normal kind of an activity for not just pesticide spraying, but even for seed spraying over fields. We have launched APMS, which is our state's primary digital platform for agriculture that integrates AgriStack and generate use cases for farmers. We are using remote sensing to monitor sowing status, crop type and crop health across nearly 1.44 crore field parcels in the state. I think Niklesh is going to show you the details of these interventions. And we are even able to count horticulture crops at individual tree level, counting more than 2.4 crore coconut and 1.4 crore palm trees. Today, I don't know how many of you are aware, the whole horticulture area that is being talked about in this country is an approximation. Nobody has counted trees. It's just, if there are some 30 trees in an acre, they are going to say that acre of field has a particular horticulture farm. Today, this counting of trees is going to revolutionize because we are able to then look at productivity in terms of trees, not just the area. The Farmer app has AI assistant for farmer and extension officer aligning to Bharat Vistar, goals of bringing multilingual voice-enabled personalized schemes and financial packages assistance along with hyperlocal farm and crop-specific advisories, crop planning, fertilizer management, Uberization services like drones and farm machineries. If this speech was just a standalone, I'm sure many of you would have thought, this is a bureaucratic kind of a speech that's being given. Luckily, I have the next session. Niklesh is actually going to show you what has actually transpired in the state. Now, we thought this session should also talk about the learnings and challenges. And the first learning and challenges for me, and I think particularly with reference to the tech partners, I always say that whoever comes to me, tech farmers saying we want to work with the government, they always come with a solution seeking a problem. They have a solution. They have already developed a solution sitting in their comfortable AC rooms, designed it, everything, and now they are coming and asking me, please give me the problem so that this solution can fit there. So I think that mindset from the tech partners also is a big challenge. I think the tech partners should realize that the first and foremost, the tools, the AI is just a tool which should enable, ultimately the outcome of a benefit to the human being. So that's a big challenge. Of course, there are data issues, data errors, data disconnects. Data integrity is key. In fact, I keep, in all my meetings, I keep saying that at the end of this arduous journey of developing a beautiful system, if all that the system is doing is just crunching some data which has no relevance to the actual truth, this whole system has no meaning. That's what many of the systems today are. They look beautiful, beautiful graphs are shown, but then it's all based on data which is questionable. So data integrity, I think, is next important challenge that we need to look at. The accuracy of these models. Many of these are just models. These are big algorithms, end of the day, but they're just modeling, simulating. So we need to establish the accuracy of these models. If you don't do that, many a times, in fact, this is what our Honorable CM always, whenever we present a beautiful PPT of a new idea, he listens to it, but at the end of the all that presentation, he asks, tell me what is the accuracy of this, your model. That we don't, the ground truthing. Are we doing the ground truthing? That's the key. Limited access to GPUs. Now, everybody is talking about, chatbots and then usage of AI based tools. But then all these require a lot of infrastructures. Where is that infrastructure coming from? Does the state have a provision for providing all this infrastructure for the DPIs? So GPUs, in fact, we found that is a big limitation. Unless the state has the capacities, you'll not be able to do the LLMs and your machine learning without that. Then, of course, finally, it's the farmer acceptance of these advisories. Many a times, we think we have developed a beautiful system for the farmer, but the actual farmer may not accept it. And that's, I keep telling my team that it's the numbers. How many have, like WhatsApp? We use WhatsApp because we know its benefits. So, unless the farmers feel that this app is useful for me, again, all our investments in resources in creating that app will go waste. Of course, the next steps, I've talked about the vision, I talked about the challenges. Now, the next steps, as I've said, we are taking these solutions to 85 lakh cultivators and citizens. I've specifically used the word cultivator because not always, today, many of the systems are driven by not looking at actual cultivator, but something, because the systems are available. So landowners, all our land records are computerized. Therefore, that's the easy kind of data set that we can take. But then that data set actually eliminates a lot of real cultivators. So how do we build in a system where the real cultivators are also be part of inclusive into this system? We need to bring these services that are hyper-local and farm-specific with feedback loop from the farmer. This is important because many a times even a chatbot, we've seen the messages that the system generates is a general kind of a message. It doesn't take the hyper-local factors of that particular farmer. So we should be able to, AI should be able to help us take into account those specific inputs from the farmer's field and give the feedback. The human touch point is important for reducing the gap in awareness, trust, and access. Integration of the services at economic unit at the cutting edge is important. And then, of course, cost. In fact, many a time we have a solution, like in the beginning, drone was a good frontier tech kind of a solution. But in one meeting with chili farmers, our CM asked, are you using drone? So the farmer said, yes, sir, we tried. But it's much cheaper to do the spraying with human. So cost is always a factor we need to keep in mind. I'll end with an analogy with another AI, artificial insemination in the animal husbandry field. From conventional AI to sex-sorted semen technology to today we are talking about embryo transfer. This AI too, artificial intelligence too, needs to embrace the human philosophy that the future belongs to those who dare to go there. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. I can say this firsthand, just based on the experience of having the privilege of working with the state government over the last couple of weeks, that it's not common to see the ability to have aspirational targets, but to also back it up with a very practical strategy and roadmaps that will deliver those targets. And more importantly, the ability to say something isn't working and course correct quickly. I think it's an honor to work with the state government and to have experienced that firsthand. And the Gates Foundation has been a very critical partner in that journey of both supporting the states with best practices from around the world and in the country. So I'd like to invite Srivalli Krishnan, Deputy Director of the Gates Foundation, to share it. Oh, please, absolutely. Yeah, you can just speak from there.
Thank you so much, Deepa, and I think it's an honor to share the stage with Sri Rajshekharji, with whom we've been partnering for a very long time. I would just say that in the last couple of days, of course, we've been able to show what AI can do at the farmer end, both to Honorable CM as well as Bill, in terms of what is the future of AI in agriculture and AI-enabled advisory. I think one of the things that I really appreciate is not just the state's willingness to partner and test out solutions, take the risks, be the first adopter, but also being able to use data for evidence and decision making. And I'm not talking of this in 2026, I'm talking of this way back in 1995 when the Honorable CM met with Bill at that time as the CEO of Microsoft. It is important to note that when we are using data for decision making, there are challenges in terms of what is the quality of data. And I think Andhra Pradesh as a state has really invested in taking that step to improve the foundational quality of data. Because once you're looking at data being not of great quality, the decisions are actually taken on that, which sometimes can go wrong. So the foundational layer which Andhra actually looked at really addressing is the root cause problem of quality at the grassroots level. With APMS 1 and now 2, and I know Nikhilesh will talk a little bit more on that, it is important to understand that data for decision making is also rooted with a lot of phygital ground truthing and understanding. It is not that the AI had given a pest forewarning or a weather advisory that you take it at the face value, but you rather use the ground truthing capability of whether the Raitu Samiksha Kendras or the KVKs or other field functionaries to ground truth that data in real time and being able to reduce the turnaround time significantly. If we look at the average number of extension workers to farmers in India, it is 1 in 10,000. Even if we recruit a whole lot of new extension workers, we can never get to a point where we will be able to look at an optimum size of 1 extension worker for every 250 farmers. That's not possible. So this is where we talk about use of AI to be able to deliver quality, real-time advisory and information to the farmer at the last end can both be faster, cheaper, real-time and accurate. And this is the promise that we see Andhra as a state really spearheading in that direction and for other states in India to follow. And not just other states, I would say it is setting an example for globally how AI can actually transform in terms of citizen-centric services, whether it is access to inputs like seeds, fertilizers, mechanization, or even access to drones for spraying and so on, to all the way to connecting it to the market and really looking at post-harvest management from processing side. So this is an end-to-end holistic value chain based approach which is not rooted on one siloed approach for one small problem. And I really liked what Rajshekharji mentioned. As we look at more and more solutions coming in from private sector, it is important that private sector doesn't look at it as a solution-oriented problem. We should be looking at what is the demand for services to make that solution tailored to that demand to be sustainable. Otherwise, a lot of startups, a lot of tech companies would be losing their charm in the valley of death. So it is important that we actually approach a demand-centric approach where farmer finds value, where there is an option for revenue generation, and really take it from there. And finally, I know we would like to see the APMS too from Nikhilesh to give us a demo on that. But I do want to share that we are looking at the promise of AI for tomorrow. And for tomorrow, we are not looking at this replaces the human touch. And I just wanted to reiterate that there is always a requirement of a human touch, because eventually something has to go on the field. There is the need for the farmer to go and take that action. So we are not replacing the human touch. We are just making that touch get faster and cheaper. With that, thank you so much, Deepa.
Thank you so much, Srivali. And I think that's such an important note, because the skepticism or the fear of displacing human intelligence is a very perceptible one right through the conference. So you addressed that head on. Thank you so very much. With that, Nikhilesh, the much awaited APMs, I think we're all excited to see the demo and what APMs is doing. Over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Deepa. So I think we have put a presentation for that.
You can just use the clicker. I should. Yeah.
So APMs, very similar to what Shar has already briefed. We started with the focus of how tech needs to go to the last mile and putting farmer at the center. What predominantly we are doing here is how cultivator, be it tenant of the farmer, brings or get hyper-local personalized advisory, which is very specific to the farmer's farm, and bring services right from farmers planning to productivity enhancement, input management, climate resilient agriculture at the farm, but also link it to the various other services related to farm machinery, drone, financial services, insurance, risk. At the same time, bring the government support and schemes right at the hand of the farmer. And with that being the goal, the construct of the entire system has been done. And it is kind of leveraging on the top of works done both at the national and state level, connecting with AgriStack to bring farmer a very easy access to the system, where farmer just has to log in with their national ID, Aadhaar or farmer registry, and no need to do any further entry. So farmer gets to see all the farms that he has, and as he clicks on a particular farm, he sees farm specific advisories. And then there is a multilingual AI assistant which basically prompt the farmer that there is an alert for his farm and would he like to basically see those alerts. There is an advisory, and these advisory are all dynamic and hyper-local. So what I'll do is I'll quickly jump towards some of the works that you would like to see. The idea here is to bring one digital ecosystem, so not just for the farmer but upscale to the RSK unit level, where the department and the extension officer is enabled with all these information, analytics and actionable insights, and also bring it to the industry and research institutions through a sandbox environment. So pretty much the goal here is to bring state to plot level, where farmer, farm, crop and services are all connected. What you're seeing in the left hand side is where multiple data sets have been aggregated from right from AgriStack and revenue records, and these data sets bring informations related to crop right in the GIS mode, and you get to see each plot level. And further to that, the connections bring the informations at the farmer's farm, crop farmer's app, where don't play the video. Just do the full screen, yeah. Where these informations you see is being brought in the screen that you're seeing is a screenshot from the farmer app, where the farmer sees multiple farms, and on the farm, the farmer sees also crop specific advisories and soil nutrient. This is a part where I would like to focus on more and just give some glimpse, where now all these informations that you see is also accessible in a vernacular app format, where the farmer can interact through clicks and navigate through the app, but also it creates access and knowledge gaps where farmers do not know where to drill down, and it's not possible for enabling each individual farmers. Of course, there is a physical model where a human is there to assist at the RSK level, but touching all the farmers to adopt these digital services is difficult. This is where what we have done is brought all these information into a seamless farmer's assistant. We are calling AI agri-scientist for the farmer, where it's not just bringing his farm and schemes information, but also all related to the best practice and farm-specific informations, farm-specific advisories, hyperlocal weather, crop, and soil-related. And I'll just play some of them. So if you may play the first one. So here you would be able to see the farmer just can see with interactions, and these are all prompt driven to the farmer, where
how much money I got from Annadata Sukhi Bhava scheme.
and in this case farmer doesn't have to put any information at the backdrop. The beauty is it's integrate the data from farmer registry, it integrates the data from the bank, it integrates the data from the schemes and bring into one seamless environment. The second is hyperlocal information on the price.
నా పంట యొక్క ప్రస్తుత మార్కెట్ ధర ఎంత? వరి యొక్క ధరలు హెచ్చుతగ్గులు అంచనా వేయి.
So here the farmer he's not asking any specific, I want to know the price of this crop. He's asking crop specific to the farm. He just say, my farm, what are the prices that I can avail? And then related to soil health, related to irrigation advisory, related to pest management, related to Uberization. We'll just show one more and so these conversations-based AI assistant is also upscaled to the extension service level, where the extension officer basically gets to see in the village where he is managing what are the lands, what are the crops, what are the variations in the marginal farms and land utilization types, but also he gets to know real-time information related to weather, water availability, the risk that he needs to assist to the farmers, various climate resilient related advisory. In addition, the economic layer is also added, where the RSK officer get to know in real time what are the prices, crop, and also a scaling into the GVA of the unit which he is managing. And all of them are brought both in a dashboard format, in a map format, and in the app with the AI assistant. Some of the other use cases which I'll just brush through is we make a lot use of remote sensing data to bring real-time monitoring. So each parcels are being monitored whether the parcel is sown, and once the sowing information is known, in between the season what is the crop that is also being detected using the remote sensing. Then, like sir said, we are doing each individual tree counts. We have created very unique signatures and advancement that has happened in the recent AI, especially vision AI. We have created specific models for AP where palm, coconut tree, but also we are now doing mango, lime and cashew. Then we are also doing real-time monitoring on the health of the crop which is in the plot, and at a real time, as a near real time, at a day, 10-day, 5-day gap, we are able to know which plot is actually going into a stress. This is a pest precision management with the goal of how do we reduce the cost of cultivation by pesticide use, but also reduce the pesticide into the food chain, and it has a 3-step approach where we are doing a pest forewarning in advance and is scaled for the whole state, and it goes all the way to the farmer level where farmer gets to get a advisory. There is a forewarning in advance to come, and farmer can go to the field, click a image, and an AI based image-based detection service provides him what is a crop or what is a pest or disease, and also with the remedial. And there itself, the farmer can book a Uber service. We have also opened up a sandbox environment which is internal to the department, where the AI is taken into democratized format to the hands of officers who can further improve the models and also rebuild on the top of it, and new use cases, but also data access to create new innovative services and use cases on the top of existing ones.
Thank you so much, Nikhilesh. That was fantastic. Great. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. A huge applause for Nikhilesh, because I think, right, like if AgriStack is the digital backbone, APMS is the brain, right? Like it really does much of the thinking and the analytics. Something that Athena and Phenomics and CMS as partners are really excited is to now build on that backbone and then say, how do we really take it to the last mile, right? So this question of, okay, there's technology, there's analytics, there's so much value that's being built. Now, how do we really activate it and make sure that it's useful at the last mile? And that means we need to work within the techno-human capital infrastructure and the ecosystem that already exists within the state. So Nikhilesh already covered what APMS does quite beautifully. What I'll talk about today is really the work that we're just getting started on, which is how can we really supercharge the RSK network as agents of transformation, and really focus on what Srivalli quite beautifully captured, right? Which is, there is no scenario we're going to get one extension worker for 250 farmers. That is not a practical reality. So how do we do more with less? And that's not just a quantitative gap, but it's also a qualitative gap. And so you've told us in several meetings that, you know, if there is a big you're not going to get a horticulture specialist in every area, but you may need that specialist skills. So how do we address both the quantitative and the qualitative gap? And we're doing this through two main intervention levers. The first is a decision intelligence system, right? What is that last mile intelligence layer that the RSK can be equipped with that allows them to deconstruct targets, understand what that means at a very local level, and also start thinking about ways in which they can deliver value. And my colleague Nitish will talk about that in a minute. And then there is the sandbox. Now, there is the intelligence piece, but there's also the service delivery piece, right? I think there is real power in taking and designing digital services and taking it to the last mile. And the focus of the innovation sandbox is how do you really design and build that AI and frontier tech layer to supercharge services for the farmers. And obviously at every stage, we're very clear that what matters is the farmer, and more so the tenant farmer, right? So that we're not losing sight of the smallhold and tenant farmers, and looking at questions of how are we reducing damages or improving productivity or cutting down on input costs or expanding credit markets for the farmers, with a big focus on GVA or gross value addition as the North Star in terms of impact, while also looking at the resilience dividend and nutrition. Now, in the interest of time, I think one of the biggest themes, if for those of you who've been at the AI summit, it's just this fatigue with pilots, right? Like everybody's tired of pilots, right? And there's a lot of focus on then asking this question of how do we think about scale and how can we design for scale get-go? And I don't think I have the answer to that question. I think we're going to learn how to do that by being very aware that that's what matters from the get-go. And I'll give you an example of what that means in the context of one of the aspirations that Rajshekhar outlined in his keynote address, which is drone-based services. And the target for precision farming and the value that it can unlock for farmers in the state of Andhra Pradesh. There is already a lot of built-up infrastructure, right, in the state. There is APMS, there's Agri-Stack, we have drone operators, certified operators that are all part of the AP Drone Mart ecosystem. We have a human capital network of 8,000 plus extension workers. How do we now take that and start
talking about where can precision farming add value, and we're starting with something that's come up over and over again, both in the work that we've done so far in the state, but also more so in the summit here, is trust, or the last mile trust infrastructure. Start by talking to farmers to see where is their value for precision farming and what do they need. There is already an Uberization app that's been built as part of APMS, which we will leverage. Again, doesn't have to be built from scratch. We're just going to take that system, and then the AI-driven scheduling also already exists within the state government infrastructure, which will allow us to then say, how do we think about where there is value and how the matchmaking can happen with the drone service providers? Because something like this simply will not work without demand side and supply side aggregation. And there are economies of scale. And remember, drones are not just, you can't just fly a drone and do pest spraying. We have to look at wind velocity. We have to look at weather on that specific day. There are lots of considerations to be taken into account. When we're talking about precision farming, it's very crucial for us to start with the data. We can't talk about the precision piece. We're not just talking about flying a drone over a piece of land and spraying. We're talking about precision spraying. So in the workflow, what we're going to be systematically testing as part of the sandbox is what would that data-driven intelligence layer look like through a drone-based service that will create these polygons, right? That can be verified by an agronomist. Obviously, the farmer has the ultimate override. The liability and the consent architecture requires that the farmer says, yes, I want to do this, and only then we proceed. These polygons will form the premise or the basis for the targeted spray execution. One thing I want to highlight here that's really exciting that we're keen to test is the data layer is more than just precision pest. Yield is a huge part of the data ecosystem that we all struggle with because crop cutting experiments are expensive and we don't really have very reliable data. So that data-driven intelligence layer can give us more than just pest polygons. They can give us a lot of very valuable data. Once the spray is done, we want a clear before and after. What is the farmer satisfaction? But we'll also allow for digital traceability and potentially linkages to insurance in terms of triggers, which goes back to the point that Srivalli mentioned. We're not looking at this in silos. We want something that's integrated, that's touching on several dimensions and has to be privacy by design. And finally, how do we then use some form of crop calendaring to make sure there is a trigger-based alert and the system continues? And how can we learn from this process to reduce the survey to spray time and continue to build on it? With that, Nitish, I'll hand it off to you to talk about the RSK intelligence layer.
Thanks, Deepa. I think I have about 2 minutes, so let me write.
No, you actually have 5. You have 5 more minutes after the CETO.
Yeah, so I think thanks, Deepa, and thanks so much, Rajshekhar sir, for the keynote. And it's a pleasure to work with the state that puts, like you said, cultivators at the center and the science tech system around it. That is extremely key. And that is what at CMS we believe in. And to work with somebody who shares the same values is extremely important. And thank you for the Athena team for inviting us and putting us on the panel. Thank you so much for that. So I'll start with how are we leveraging? Like Deepa mentioned, the work that Vasar has done and the work that the state has done for the last decades and decades, like Srivalli put it, has given us this huge leverage that we have where you already have a base at which you can work on, right? And ultimately, the goal here is to improve farmers' income, for which you have to put RSK at the center, because only via the RSK you will be able to reach the last mile at the end of the day. So what we have right now is we have foundational agreed APIs. We spoke about APMs, we spoke about ePanta, we spoke about AgriStack, and so on. The other important thing is the trust infrastructure that is existing in this state of over 10,000 RSKs is extremely crucial, because the farmer adoption of farmers is something Rajshekhar has spoke about, right? Just because we have tech doesn't mean the farmer is going to adopt it. The trust network will play a huge role in making sure the farmer adopts these technologies and tools, which is going to be extremely crucial. And the state has invested a lot in that, and that's an extremely important asset that we should look at. And last comes, because of the systems that we have sector-specific data that we have. So we are not starting from scratch. Now, currently, the RSKs act as service centers. What we want to do is make them intelligence hubs. That is the journey we are on, which is the next steps which we spoke about earlier as well, where you have a defined shared intelligence which can come across sectors. You don't look at the primary sectors in isolation. You have synergies between them. You can optimize for them, which becomes extremely powerful. And you have actionable insights at the hyper-local level. Because what might work in a particular field in Anantapur is not going to work in East Godavari. The nature of farmers are different, the soil is different, the crop is different, the climate conditions are extremely different. So having hyperlocal insights is extremely crucial. And the third point of recursive learning is something I want to emphasize on. Because RSKs are the ones who are closest to the ground. And they will learn something from the ground which has to feed back to the system. This recursive learning is extremely important to make this system work. This also increases the RSK's trust in the system because they know they are inputting to it and that is what is coming back to them, which is extremely important, the feedback loop. Okay, time's up. I have 2 more minutes, I believe. Okay. Yeah, at the end of the day, while AI is the catalyst, we are at the AI summit. The data systems are the foundations which the state has invested in the last decade or two, which has made a big difference where we are able to supercharge this network via AI at this point in time. So quickly, in terms of how we are exactly doing this, right? And Deepa spoke about doing more with less, right? And I wanted to touch upon a little bit in terms of how exactly that is going to happen. So we have targets, allocation, and planning that flows from the state at this point in time. And you have hyperlocal signal solution banks that are coming bottom up, right? Integrating these two systems is extremely crucial. While planning comes from the state, understanding based on hyperlocal signals at the RSK level that feeds back into the planning is extremely important, right? Because, like we have spoken in the past as well, things change so fast on the ground. While there are macroeconomic conditions that affect a situation on the ground, there are local ground conditions as well which affect a lot. Having this system feedback into each other is extremely important. Having the solution bank, which is sourced from the RSKs themselves, and from the departments that we work with is extremely crucial because we have had a lot of success stories. There have been RSKs that have done very well, that have contributed to extremely high GVS. Bringing this back into the system and then democratizing that knowledge across the RSKs itself can supercharge this network quite a lot, right? And lastly, Rajshekhar sir spoke about this, it has to be grounded in reality. And the only person or the only individual who can ground that is the RSKs with the farmer. That is extremely important for the system to work together because without that, you might have solutions. He calls it theoretical exercises, but then again, it doesn't make a difference if it doesn't add to farmers' income at the end of the day, which is what we are looking at here, right? And data tech and AI are all levers that allow for this, but these principles should be there for data tech and AI to actually enable farmer income on the ground at the end of the day, right? Another component I wanted to focus on is change management. This is going to be extremely crucial because just because we have a tech system doesn't mean RSKs are going to adopt it. What is the buy-in for the RSK for the system? What is the buy-in for the farmer to trust the RSK? It took last 20 years to build, right? So similarly, you will need a huge change management exercise for RSKs to adopt these systems. They are used to certain styles of working. An app is necessarily not going to change that. So investing a lot in this and creating protocols and frameworks and taking their feedback, which is extremely important. It shouldn't be another app or another file that they will have to fill. This is extremely crucial here. Now, what this allows us to do is to build that rich data corpus that the state can build throughout this, which gives you contextual intelligence, because the corpus is coming from the ground now. It is not just top-down, which is coming from the state or some open data that we have. It is coming contextual to the ground, which actually lowers the cost of delivering that intelligence, because it's contextual to that particular geography, right? And this is a loop. Now, this contextual intelligence is going back to the data corpus. So at the end of the day, what you have is via integrating the statewide planning with RSK level intelligence, you enable an RSK to act as an intelligence hub, which is the vision that we have, right? And lastly, just to kind of bring it all together in one place, the primary sector is very, very nuanced. Agriculture is not the same as horticulture. Livestock is very different. Fisheries are very different. And soil conditions are extremely local. And within that, each of those sectors, you have various factors affecting how each sector will go, right? It's not just on the profile of farmers, it's based on climatic conditions, production cycles are very different, and so on. Now, at the center of all this complexity is RSK. This is something that is extremely important to understand. The RSK is the one who actually, at today, sits as a delivery point, who understands this complexity and delivers services to all these primary sectors that we are talking about. So every interaction that the RSK makes, be it a crop choice, input demand, livestock activity, farmer feedback, and so on, is captured back into the system. That strengthens the hyperlocal intelligence. It is not a one-way street, it is a two-way street where the RSK contributes to the system and the system contributes to the RSK, right? Now, as the data corpus grows, the RSK evolves into an intelligence hub. Now, once the RSK evolves into an intelligence hub, that is where Deepa's point of the system begins to do more with less is something that we can see in action. Now, the RSK is equipped with hyperlocal AI. The agents can carry that intelligence forward to Srivalli's vision of having an agent or an AI that can serve, let's say, 10,000 farmers with a single RSK then becomes possible. Every farmer has access to scientific intelligence, and that's how we achieve sovereign AI in the primary sector, based on intelligence built from our own ground realities, anchored in our own institutions. Thank you all.
Thanks a ton, Nitish. I think, so I often get made fun of for talking really fast, but I feel like Nitish almost to do it faster than I do, but thanks a ton. I know we're out of time, but I think we're all going to be here for a bit, so if the audience do want to interact with the panelists, you're welcome to do so. I just want to end with saying just to summarize that one of the things that excites me is that here there is the courage to try new things and the conviction to stay the course, and that's not something that's common, so we're all incredibly excited to be a part of this journey and learn along the way. A huge thanks to Rajshekhar sir for being here with us to deliver the keynote, Srivalli Krishnan from the Gates Foundation, Nikhilesh from Vasar, and Nitish from Catalyst Management Services. Thank you all, and thank you all for being here with us on day 3 of a summit. So thank you everyone. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day and the workshop. Thank you. This is like a photograph, I think.